So here is your flatbed market update. How in the world are we doing with rates, and is it enough to survive? Does it outweigh the expenses? So let's have a look. So here we have the stats for the first week of September, and I have to say the stats look pretty good for the flatbed division. You can see here that in June, the national average was $2.51 per mile. In July, it was $2.47 per mile. In August, it's $2.41 per mile. And for the first week of September, we're currently sitting at $2.46 per mile. How does this compare to last year? And let's compare it to the van division. So first, we'll compare it to the dry van division. In the dry van division, you can see that August and September are by far the worst months that we've seen in a long time. So $2.01 per mile for the month of August, and the first week of September is actually trending at $1.99. So I foresee a ton of closures happening over the next couple of months because of how bad last month was and what's happening this month. How does this compare? The flatbed rates, how do they compare to this time last year? So when we're comparing August of 2024 versus August of 2023, we see that the flatbed spot rates are actually 4% lower than where they were this time last year. So actually not that big of a change. Now, over the last 2 weeks, I've received probably 5 or 6 consultations into the topic on should I consider running flatbeds. With the national average being so low in the dry van division, I mean, owner-operators, obviously in small fleets, are thinking of what else can they do in order to increase the profitability, because running at these national averages at $1.99, when you have a lease payment and a trailer payment and insurance payments and all the other million-and-one expenses that small fleet owners have, they're actually running at a loss. Should I go out and run at $2.46 per mile, which is the national average for the flatbed division? My answer to that is yes. If you are going to try anything, is it worth it? Absolutely, it's worth it. I mean, doing 46 cents per mile more on every single mile that you're doing, and if you have the qualified drivers that can do it, obviously that's going to push you from the red into the green. So in order to buy a flatbed right now, a 3-year-old flatbed, I mean, you can find them all over the place for about $20,000 or $25,000, and you can actually rent them pretty much anywhere because everybody has capacity right now for rent. So you can pretty much rent them anywhere for about $1,000, $1,100 a month, plus X amount of cents per mile that it's going to cost you. But is it worth it to do an extra 46 cents per mile? Well, think about it. If an owner operator or if a company driver does 10,000 miles, which they should be doing at least 10,000 miles, and you multiply that by 46 cents extra, that's an extra $4,600 every single month. And that should be enough to push you in from the red into the green. Now, if you're able to find a flatbed that has the Rolltite or the Connestogas system on it, then you've hit jackpot. Why? We here get all of our Rolltite systems from a company called Verduyn. They have 2 locations in Canada and 2 locations in the US. The reason I really like Verduyn Tarps is because of their exposure both in Canada and the US, but they also have a 102 wide clearance inside. So I never have a problem with loads that I cannot do. Our entire fleet here at AT Transport are all Rolltites. We call them here in Canada Rolltites. In the US, they refer to them as Connestogas. But again, 102 wide clearance inside. They have an unbelievable customer service, and we continue to purchase our Rolltites or Connestogas through them. So if you can get your hands on one of these Rolltites or Connestogas, then you kind of got the best of both worlds. Why? Because I mean, most drivers do not want to run flatbeds because of the tarping, because of the chaining, but most of all, it's because of the tarping. So if you can get them a Conestoga, they would be a lot more willing to do it. I mean, you would actually have to pay extra for the driver, but at least you would benefit by the extra 46 cents per mile that you're running. Also, it is a well-known fact that there's a lot more competition in the van division than there is in the flatbed division. Don't get me wrong. If you are running a fleet of dry vans, I'm not suggesting that you should convert all of them into flatbeds. What I am suggesting is if you want to test it out and you want to see for yourself and you want to try to help yourself to get out of the red until the freight rates get better, then why not consider getting 1 or 2 flatbeds, especially now when the cost of equipment is so cheap. Just something for you guys to think about. Hopefully you learned something from this video. I'd love to hear your intake. I'd love to hear your opinion. Put the comments down below. I'm Ronen, and I'll catch you in my next video.
Are you ready to take your trucking business to the next level or start a new one from ground up? I'm Ronen Gilcroft, and with years of industry experience, I'm here to help truckers, owner-operators, and small fleet owners overcome challenges and maximize profit. Book a consultation with me today, and let's drive your business towards success.